Most traders do not understand their own psychology, and as a result, they're left vulnerable to their own brain, to their survival responses, and to their own emotions. Whereas the very few percent of traders who study psychology and understand the human brain and understand emotions and know how to hack their brain or their emotions for their advantage and to their advantage are the traders who start to build consistent profitability and do very, very well as traders. So what I want to do in this video is give you an overview of the human psychology, your brain and emotions, and how they influence and impact your trading decisions, and how you can hack your brain for better trading results, for better decision making, and for less stress in your trading. So let's get into it. Now, one of the overarching concepts that we need to understand about the human brain is that you have two main components that are going to be influencing your trading as a trader and going to be influencing your decision making. The first one is what we're going to refer to as the prefrontal cortex, or the human. This is the executive part of your brain that's responsible for making rational and objective decisions. For example, I have a trading plan. The market is now forming in a way that aligns with my trading plan. I'm going to, in a very poised state of mind, take that position because I know how I have an edge in this moment, and I'm going to risk the proper amount, pre-described risk management in this moment. I'm going to risk it, and I'm taking that trade. That's a very rational and objective decision to make in that moment. You're making a process-based decision based on your trading plan and edge. Whereas you also have what is referred to as the amygdala, which is the survival or animalistic part of your brain. This is the part of the brain that keeps you alive, frankly, and in high pressure environments and in life-threatening environments, the amygdala fires up as a way to keep you alive. And the amygdala can be seen as something that's slightly outdated for traders in a very safe environment. And what I mean by that is if you're sitting in a safe environment in front of your computer screen, maybe in an air-conditioned apartment, using proper risk management, then you don't have any life-threatening situations in that moment. However, your amygdala is still going to respond in a way when it sees a threat or a challenge as if that is a life-threatening situation. And it's going to have all the certain reactions that it would typically in a life-threatening situation when you're trading at the markets, which is something that's going to influence your decision making, which is something going to influence your ability to stick to your trading plan. So what we have to do as traders, the first step as traders, is learn how to manage the amygdala and activate the prefrontal cortex. And there are certain action steps that you can take that will help you do that, and we're going to cover those in the second part of this video. So the process as a trader is to quiet down the amygdala, the survival part of your brain, and to activate the prefrontal cortex. And by doing that, what you do is you take your trading from outcome-based to process-based. Your amygdala, your survival response, is focused on the outcome. It's focused on the external world, and it reacts using fear and greed, and it reacts to the external environment. If it sees something out there that it labels pleasure, then it has greed to seek after that and capture that, just like an animal would go and capture its prey. Whereas if it sees something as threatening or challenging, it's going to have fear as a way to avoid that thing, just like an animal would to a predator. Okay? So the survival response here is something that reacts to the outcome, to the external outcome, and is run by fear and greed. It's run by your emotions, and it's to seek or avoid certain things, to seek pleasure, avoid pain. Now, one of the most important concepts that traders need to understand or implement into their trading is they have to learn to redefine what winning and losing means to them. If a trader sees winning as a positive, pleasurable experience and they have it way up on a pedestal, then what's going to happen is as a trader, they're going to impulsively want to seek after that win, the pleasure of the win, the dopamine they have associated to that win. And in that state of seeking after the pleasure of the win, they're deviating from their trading plan. They're deviating from their trading plan. So too, if a trader labels losing bad and negative and a challenging experience and a painful experience, then they're going to want to avoid losing. And in the pursuit of avoiding losing, they're not going to stick to their trading plan. Why? Because your trading plan encompasses both winning and losing. Your trading plan or your edge is a sample space of data which includes winning and losing. Although the way you structure your trading plan and edge is that you're going to win more than you lose. But as a trader, there is no chance of avoiding losing and seeking winning all the time and having winning all the time. So whenever you're in the amygdala, which is trying to avoid the pain of losing and seek after the pleasure of winning, whenever you trade from your amygdala, you automatically have unrealistic expectations because you're seeking after that which you can't have and you're trying to avoid that which you can't avoid. So as a trader, part of the importance to getting away from the amygdala or managing the amygdala, quieting the amygdala down and going more to the prefrontal cortex is as a way to go from thinking about the outcome of the win and loss and to go to process-based thinking, which doesn't even take into consideration winning and losing. It's not focused on the polarities. It's focused on the process of, am I adhering to my trading plan? So as a trader, we have to learn how to manage the amygdala, the survival response, the emotional part of your brain that wants to seek after winning and avoid losing. But understand that whenever you're trying to seek after winning, you're now imposing unrealistic expectations on yourself and on the market because nobody has any idea of what's going to happen next. Trading is a probability model. It's not about trying to predict what happens next, but it's about sticking to the process, sticking to your edge, which over a long period of time yields you consistent profitability. Now, the only way you can do that is by quieting down the amygdala and putting the prefrontal cortex in charge. Okay, so this is overview part 1 of hacking your emotions or hacking your brain. Part 2, what are the specific action steps that you can do to increase the probability of managing and quieting down the amygdala, putting the prefrontal cortex in charge, and getting away from this outcome-based focus to process-based focus. The first thing you need to do is you need to have a profitable edge that you're certain in and you want to put that into a trading plan, a mechanical trading plan. And you want to make it 100% mechanical. Firstly, you shouldn't even be trading without an edge that you're certain in and you're certain that's profitable. Because unless you have an edge you're certain that's profitable, which means it wins more than it loses over a large sample space, then you're not trading, you're gambling if you don't have that edge. So the first step is identifying an edge that brings you profitability over a large sample space. Now, will you be right every single trade, individual trade? Will you win every individual trade? No, absolutely not. But you don't want to necessarily. You don't need that to be profitable over a large sample space. What you need is an edge, a sequence of wins and losses, right? Where your wins are bigger than your losses, or your wins happen your wins happen more than your losses. And if you can do one of those two things, you have a profitable edge. And then what you want to do is you want to take that profitable edge and put into a mechanical trading plan. Why? Because in order to have consistent profitability, you have to have a structure or a strategy or a system that you can consistently follow and you can consistently execute on every single day. Now, once you have those two components in place and you now have certainty, but you still have realistic expectations on your edge, and now you have a mechanical trading plan, a checklist that you can follow, you already put yourself in a very good situation to not be emotional in the market. Your prefrontal cortex loves process. It loves checklists. It loves system. It loves following system. Whereas the amygdala, what happens when it's overwhelmed with options and or decisions it can make, it activates its survival response, unsure of what to do. So by limiting the amount of decisions you can make in the market to follow a strict checklist, you're already helping quiet down the amygdala and put the prefrontal cortex in charge. You're already hacking your brain for trading success. The third step here is the management of your expectations. Now that you have your edge in your trading plan, your job as a trader is to be able to stick to your edge and trading plan. And the way, or part of the way you can do that, is through the management of positive expectations. I've used the analogy before, but let's imagine you have a monkey, and if you dangle in front of that monkey a banana, right? And you dangle a banana in front of the monkey, and what's going to happen if you take that banana away? In the mind of the monkey, the banana is all positive. It's pleasure. It's dopamine. It's all this goodness. And then you yank that banana away from the monkey, because in the mind of the monkey it had a very positive expectation of all the pleasure, and it gets taken away, then what it's left with is extreme pain. The opposite. It doesn't have what it desired. Didn't have the expectations. Didn't get that. So as traders, we do a very similar thing. We sit at our desk and we look at the charts, and in our mind we create all these ideas of what we think we're going to get from the market. The certain dollar amount, the percentage, the funded account, the car, whatever it is. And we, in our mind, create all these expectations about the outcome of what we're going to get from the market. And if the market doesn't provide that to us, doesn't provide all those positive expectations, we get the opposite of that, which is pain. And we're highly emotional. The other thing about imposing your expectations onto the market is now you bring confirmation bias into the equation. And now what you're trying to do is you're now trying to convince yourself why you should take that position, and you're trying to reassure and find confirming evidence why getting into that position is the right idea in that moment, or the right move in that moment, because you're addicted to the positive things you think you're going to get from the market, the fantasy, the expectations. So as a trader, what's very, very important is that you learn to identify these positive expectations and ground them before you get into any trade, to ensure that you're making a process-based decision that's aligned with your trading plan. That's going to do a few things. It's going to help you see the market more clearly, because you're going to have less confirmation bias and bias. You're not going to have such an emotional, painful loss if it is a loss, because your initial expectation is much lower, and you're going to be sticking to your trading plan, and you're going to be consistently executing on your edge, your trading plan. That's going to yield you consistent profitability. The issue here is traders have a trading plan, but now they go off to the market and they set all these crazy expectations, not even sticking to their trading plan. So how can you expect consistent profitability from that? So to be able to manage your expectation and ground them by asking yourself, what do I expect from the market on this individual trade? What do I think it's going to give to me in this moment? And then bring those things to surface and ask yourself, like, Pat, nobody has any idea of what's going to happen next in the market. Who am I to try and predict what's going to happen next? And ground those expectations in real time. What you do is you then do a good chunk of clearing your mind to be a little bit more process-based. And you ask yourself the simple question, does my decision align with my trading plan or not? If it doesn't, you don't take the trade, or you don't make that decision. If it does, you do take the trade. And that simple process of managing your expectations and grounding any outcome-based expectations and getting yourself back to a state where you're sticking to your trading plan is a major key for traders. And I created a free Bulletproof Your Mindset tool in the description to help facilitate that process. It's the exact process, or one of the exact processes I give to my six-figure traders to help them now stick to their trading plan and build consistent profitability. That tool is completely free. Download it in the description below. I also have a trading plan template in the description, which is free and you can use to help build your trading plan. So these are the three main components that will help you quiet down your amygdala, quiet down the emotional part of your brain, the outcome-based fear and greed external part of your brain. And what happens in your brain is your brain literally reallocates resources, blood glucose and oxygen, because the amygdala isn't as necessary in that moment anymore. It's not being activated by any unrealistic expectations or threats in its mind. And you're putting the resources to the prefrontal cortex, which then puts you in a better, more poised state of mind to just stick to your trading plan. And I have no doubt that each and every single one of you would have experienced this feeling of quietening yourself down, being more poised, and making a decision not based on this fantasy or or ego trip or pleasure you think you're going to get from the market, but because you have a level of certainty that this trade aligns with your trading plan. And that's the type of process we're trying to facilitate here. That's how you hack your brain and your emotions for trading success. So use these few tools, they will help. And by doing so, you're going to lower the stress and emotional volatilities in your trading, and you're going to be building consistent profitability. And that's the only way you're going to be able to scale it with funding and get payouts and start generating a consistent income from the market. Okay? If you found this useful, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.